Hi class, today I'll be talking to you about the scribe role. So you should be able to see me and my computer screen at the same time. Okay, so the scribe. The scribe, before the meeting, your responsibility is to get the group binder and get it organized and decorated. Okay, so you'll need to get a group binder, I would say like at least 1.5 inches, if not 2 inches. Once again, either you can collect money from your group to get it. You also need at least 5 dividers or however many dividers for however many members you have in your group. So if you have 6 members, you might need a 6 divider. You guys, instead of collecting money, you can kind of ask each other once again, like who has a binder that they have laying around at home that they're not using, and maybe like some members can bring 2 dividers. You can find like 1 divider at home that maybe you're not using and compile it so you have enough dividers. Okay. Once you get your dividers in place, you need to see me so I can give you the score sheet that goes in the front of each person's section in the binder. And you're going to have to label like each section of their binder, like the scribe section, the head honcho section. And that's why you took a picture of who's in your group and what role they are, so you know like who's the scribe, who's obviously you're the scribe, but you know who's the head honcho, who's the investigator, and you need to label their section of the binder. Okay. Also, you are kind of like the organizer, so make sure that the binder stays organized and you help people with the organization of it. But you are also responsible for taking attendance on the meeting day. So make sure that you are honestly taking attendance. The way you do that, first off, everything I'm showing you, you're going to have to read these instructions on your own, but I'm just kind of giving you the overview right now. But it's important that you read all the detailed instructions on your own. Don't forget to do that. But here are your instructions at the top of your work. Like I said, read through them. You'll take attendance of who was there that day in class. If a member was absent, write their name here. You only have to put their first name and maybe their last initial. If there's 2 like Sophias in the class, put like Sophia D and Sophia G or whatever the last name starts with. That's just an example, but you can just do first names if there's no repeat of names in the class. Any members are absent. If they were tardy to class, put tardy, okay? If a member does not turn in their work to the binder before the meeting date, you need to write their name here. If you want, you can do this at the end of the meeting, so that way, if you feel more comfortable writing it in at the end of the meeting, that's fine. But you must put, whoever, Salvador, whoever didn't turn in their work, okay? So just list whoever's name did not turn it, or if their work was incomplete, just put Jim's work was incomplete, or he didn't do it all, okay? But it has to be into the group binder before the meeting ever started, not the day of, okay? So you're going to have to read, once again, all these instructions here, but what your role work is prior to the meeting date, okay, first you have to read the section of the novel that you're assigned. So for the first lit circle, you're going to read the first section of your novel. Okay, as you're reading it, remember to use your sticky notes to place stickies whenever you find a passage that stands out to you, or like a section that you found interesting or significant, and kind of mark it with your sticky note. So when you're done reading the section of the book that is due for that lit circle, you're going to find a passage. Let me see if you have to do more than one passage. I think you guys just do one passage. Yeah, you're going to find one passage that you found the most interesting or the most significant, or maybe you related to it some way, but a passage that stood out to you in some way. And when I say a passage, it must be like a whole paragraph, not just like 1 or 2 sentences. So let's say the paragraph that you found is really short. Then I would suggest copying part of the paragraph before it and part of the paragraph after it to have a significant passage. Remember, it has to be of significant length, okay? Like a full paragraph's worth of sentences. If you're doing a book like Crank or Glass, where it's written in poetic form, make sure you get the full page of the passage. If it's only like 4 lines, like I said, maybe copy part of the lines from the page before or part of the lines from the page after, but it has to be of significant length, okay? When you copy your passage, make sure you copy it correctly from the book, and because you're taking that passage from the book, you need to put quotation marks around it so you're not plagiarizing. So when you write it down on here, where it says the passage, you need to write your full significant length passage and put quotation marks on it, and then cite it at the end using the author's last name and page number. Remember, when you cite at the end, you use parentheses, those little round brackets, parentheses at the end. You put your author's last name and the page number. Remember, there's no PG. It should just be like, I'm going to write it. Let's say, if here's your quote, I'm going to do like an example. If here's your quote, let's say the last name is Smith. And let's say you got from page 98. Okay, I'm going to show you an example on paper. So you're going to put your significant length quote. Obviously, it's going to be more than one line, but I'm just showing you. Remember to put your quotation marks. Then you're going to cite it with the author's last name, parentheses, Smith, like pretend my author's Smith. Like I said, if I got from page 98, I put 98. And then remember, my period goes on the outside of the parentheses, not before it. It does not go over there. It goes on the outside of the parentheses. And remember, before the page number, there's no PG, there's no comma, nothing like that. Cite it like exactly like how I have it, but use your own author and your own page number. Okay, once you have your passage of significant length copied down, then you're going to analyze it. Okay, when I say analyze it, maybe tell what this passage was about. Why did you pick this passage? Why is it significant? Why is it important? Did it connect to you in some way? How was it important to the story? How did it affect the story? How did it affect the characters in the story? There's many ways to analyze this, but you must analyze it in detail. It must be thorough. Look, it says it needs to be thorough. You're being graded on your ability to analyze it thoroughly. Why is it important? Why did you pick it? What's going on here? How does it affect the story? All those types of things. Okay. So you're going to be writing several sentences here, like a full paragraph at least. Okay. And remember that everything that you write, I'm grading for grammar. So make sure you proofread it at the end very carefully, one sentence at a time, going this way and backwards like I showed you, like I taught you in class to do. Make sure you proofread it carefully for your grammar and your sentence structure. No contractions. Do not start sentences with and or but. Okay, make sure you have commas between your clauses where they go, or semicolons in the proper places. So check all that stuff. Okay. Thorough analysis and check your grammar. Then you're going to come up with a discussion question that pertains to your passage. Okay, when I say discussion question, I do not mean a fact recall question. A fact recall question is like, what was Jimmy wearing in that passage? That's a fact recall. I can look it up. Okay, or what happened here? Well, you just told us what happened. You told us in the analysis as part of your analysis. Okay. But that's a fact recall. I can look up what happened there. Okay. I don't want a fact recall. It's a discussion question to get your group discussing. So what do I mean by that? Let me give you some examples. An example of a discussion question might be like, if you were in the situation like Jimmy and Bobby were here, I don't know, I'm just making up names, and like describe what the situation was. How would you have reacted? Would you have reacted differently? How would you have handled the situation? Explain your answer. Why would you have handled it that way? That's an example of a discussion question because it gets them discussing and like relating to it as well. Okay. There's all different discussion questions you can use, but that was just an example. Okay. Discussing, maybe making them relate to it, make them put themselves in the situation, whatever the case may be. Once again, in your discussion question, proofread it for grammar because grammar counts. Every grammar error is minus points. Okay, then the next section, you're going to answer your own discussion question here thoroughly. So in more than one sentence. So you're going to pretend that somebody's asking you that question and you have to answer it. And how would you answer it? And write your answer thoroughly, complete sentences, and check it for grammar. Okay, that first discussion question pertains to that exact passage that you were sharing with the group. Okay, then you're going to come up with two more discussion questions, and they can be from any part of the book that you were reading for this circle meeting. So if this is Lit Circle 1, you can pick a discussion question that has anything to do with the pages that you were reading for Lit Circle 1, okay? So that, to show you the difference, the first discussion question was specifically for that passage you were sharing, where these two additional discussion questions can be from anything in the pages you were reading for this Lit Circle meeting. So once again, you'll come up with another discussion question on stuff that was going on in the book, for this section of the Lit Circle. Remember, discussion question is not fact recall. You're getting the group discussing, thinking about how they would feel in certain situations. Maybe what did they think about a certain part of the book, okay, that you were supposed to read for this Lit Circle, something to that effect. And then once again, you have to answer your own question thoroughly. How would you answer it? Below. And make sure that you proofread both your discussion question and your answers for grammar, okay? And you do the same thing for your third discussion question. Once again, it has to pertain to the section of the book that you're reading for this Lit Circle. You'll come up with a third discussion question, and once again, answer it below thoroughly and proofread all of it for grammar, okay? So that's what you will do prior to the Lit Circle meeting. So when you turn in your work, remember your work must be turned in before the Lit Circle meeting day. No late work accepted, because there's no point in having the work after the meeting, because the whole point is to share your work to your group member or with your group members at the meeting. So there's no point in having it after, so no late work is accepted. You must have it in the group binder prior to the meeting. So you're sticking this actual hard copy of your sheet in the group binder behind your section but prior to the meeting, okay? And everybody else's work will go in their section of the binder prior to the meeting. And I will show you how to do that too, okay? All right, I'm ending the video.